bombing campaign towards Yugoslav forts. What was the impact in the battlefields in Košare and in Kosovo? Yeah,
it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It was great that they were doing it, but since it's been leaked since then, that the French were actually giving Serbs heads up of where we were going to bomb, or where NATO were going to bomb.
Yeah, that
so
was.
it gave Serbs.
I remember that news that came in 1999. Yeah.
So it was a bit of a double-edged sword.
French colonel that gave some information towards the Serbian troops.
Yeah, and that was a bit. You know, we could have done a lot more damage, and we could have achieved a lot more if that information never got passed on. The only man that I trained that I lost in combat was actually from a NATO bombing.
Yeah?
They bombed our camp by mistake. And unfortunately, he lost his life. But the NATO campaign, it was needed. I think it could have been a little bit harder, personally.
Why?
Because they weren't hitting the right targets, even though they were being told where they're being bombed. They weren't hitting the armor. They weren't hitting the tanks, the gun emplacements. They were just hitting the infrastructure, their logistics bases. Good targets, but really and truly we needed the heavy artillery to be taken out. But I think, again, without NATO, we would have been nowhere.
Yeah. When the campaign happened for 72 or 74 days, and speaking about that situation, going back in that time, did you believe that the freedom for these people and Kosovo is coming in those days?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The drive that people had made it possible. They made the belief. No way were the Serb aggressors going to take their land, which their ancestors grew. Their ancestors built their houses, lived there for hundreds of years. Yes, they might have been kicked out, but believe me, they had the drive and the will to go back.
Can you remember the day on